there seems to be I'm kind of curious about the numbers question that came up earlier today and what's behind some of the numbers. And just as an example, in my family, there seems to be a lot of shared birthdays within our generation, sometimes 2 or 3 on different sides of the family. In my first marriage, I had a set of twins. They were born on my wife's father's day he died, and one of them didn't stay long, and he transitioned on my father's birthday. And there's just a lot of these things that look like coincidences, and I'm just curious, is there something behind that, or is it just
there's something behind
random?
Everything, in the sense that non-physical is aware of who you are and what you want, and even of the symbolism that you assign to different things. But when you think about it, there's only 365 days in most years, and there's a whole lot of opportunities for things to converge.
Okay.
And so we would not put too much
emphasis
on any of that.
Okay.
But at the same time, it sounds almost like a mixed message that we're giving you, because we want you to watch for evidence. Because as you're standing in your now, I want to find a way of describing this to you so that you can really feel the fullness of it, because it's so big. So you stand in your now, interacting with whatever human friends you're interacting with, in a pointed moment of focus that is now, not just now for you, it's now for every consciousness. The now that we are sharing here is the same now that every point of consciousness that exists is sharing. There is only one powerful now, and it's now. It's right, it's now. So when you feel the pointedness of this now, and you think about how much consciousness is pointed at this now, and then you start factoring in who knew me, who knows me, who do I have access to, how much of that am I allowing right here and now, how much am I calling to my point of focus by the things that I'm thinking about, how much that is non-physical, that has lived before, that still lives on, is interested in what I'm doing here and now. What's this powerful now? How much of it is being shared? Oh, if you had any idea how much of your powerful now is being shared by loving, interested, capable participants. You see, you just got to acknowledge things are holding together really, really well for all of you, don't you?
Absolutely.
Don't you marvel in the way your earth spins in its orbit in perfect proximity, and the sun comes up every morning, and the water rains, and your blood pumps, and your heart
Flowers
beats, and your
opening.
cells metabolize? Don't you really acknowledge how much focused well-being, concentration there is focused into this now? So to the degree that you are receptive to that and aware of that, now you start receiving more ideas because you are expectant of them. You start having fuller moments because you are aware of them. You start allowing your now to be more expansive to all of the consciousness that is sharing it with you, you see. That's sort of what you're describing that's going on in this dynamic work environment. It's so much bigger than the sum of the parts that you are trying to measure, because first of all, you can't even measure all of the parts that are participating with you.
Right.
But when you start feeling the fullness of all that is focused, and then you start, now you factor in, this is where we come in, where we start telling you about cooperative components. Well, the cooperative component that really matters is the cooperative component that you equal. In other words, so if you start saying, well, numbers line up, or there's something that is meaningful to me, then everyone who's focused with you says, show him that number, show him that number, show him that number, show him that number, show him that, give him that meaningful. In other words, the grid's going to fill in with the meaningful manifestations that mean something to you, because it's a point of focus, because it's a point of desire. Is it something you're going to carry around in your pocket forever? No, there'll be another and another and another and another. Your points of focus are expanding. The grid filling in causes an expansion. If the grid just kept filling in with the same old things, then you'd be stagnant, but it doesn't. It fills in with new contrast that causes new things in the vortex, so that there are new revelations, so that there are more rendezvous, so that there is more reason for you to mold the clay. And the clay is the energy, and you mold it through thought, and you acknowledge it through feeling, you see.
I laugh because one of our businesses, a few things have become evident that are really lacking. And the more it's obvious, it's like the bigger they get and the bigger they get, you know, and it's the same grid filling in. Yeah.
Jerry told Esther the other day, as she is chatting with him about things that are going on, he's always was talking about the plate spinning act, because it was so captivating to him, and he always saw himself as spinning many plates, and he took great pride in being able to keep a lot of things spinning all at the same time. And he remembers it from his show business days of running around and watching them running around and trying to get this one going and this one going, and the plates seem to need constant attention. And what he is describing to Esther now is that the plates that are really spinning don't need her constant attention, and the plates that do need her constant attention, she should let fall. And it's such a new awareness, because the diligence of Esther makes her think that she should just keep trying to spin the plates.
Right.
But it is exactly backwards to the laws of the universe. In other words, if you've done the grid work, the plate is spinning. And if the plate isn't spinning, then do more grid work. But don't get into the action mode of spinning the plates. It will wear you out and make you old before your time.
I love that. Thank you.
I'm really interested in this grid. I'd like to explore it a little more with you today. Particularly, you've said every thought that's been thought still exists.
Every thought that has ever been thought still exists, but is not necessarily active in your grid.
Okay.
In other words, the potential is there.
Right.
The question is, what have you got going on?
Okay. And then I want to bring in the emotional scale. My question is, so we keep starting these grids, and we may choose to let them fill in, or we do, get knocked out of the vortex and have negative
let
grids.
us clarify something. You don't get to choose whether the grid fills in or not. It will.
I mean, if you
just get to choose what kind of grid you're offering.
Okay.
Because you can't stop your point of attraction. So whatever you're focused upon is the grid that you've got going on. And it is filling in and fast, in order to not only give you evidence of what you've got going on, but because law of attraction says that it must. In other words, you just can't turn your point of attraction off. That's one of the things that makes it really, really wonderful when you're able to rendezvous with someone like Abraham, or in Esther's case, someone like Jerry, who has reemerged into non-physical, who has only a pure positive grid going. When you hook up with someone like that, the dynamics of your experience become much more powerful. Does that make sense to you? In other words, if you could, did you hear that? You must not have heard that, because it was so big. It might have turned you on your head. It's so big. When you acknowledge that in your powerful now, you have the ability to rendezvous with those non-physical energies that are pure positive energy, and you care about how you feel, so you find a way of aligning with them, then your point of attraction in your powerful now is a grid that must fill in with wonderful, powerful, dynamic, spectacular things. Did you get that?
Yes.
An easier way to hear it is, you've all got friends in high places. But most of you are not tuning to the frequency of them, so you're missing the benefit of them.
We're at different places on different issues on the emotional scale. And so somehow you start thinking about this topic, money, or your weight, or this relationship, or wherever it is. So you've got all these grids going on. Do they kind of form a matrix?
They do. They do. It's like that. But the thing is, we wouldn't get too caught up in that. We would just, as the grid fills in, we would acknowledge consciously how we liked it, and then we would do something one way or another about making it better. So every thought that you've ever thought still exists and has the potential of becoming reactivated. But if you're mindful of how you feel 17 seconds, 17 seconds, 17 seconds, then you just keep adjusting. It's sort of like walking on a deck of a ship that's moving. You don't walk the way you walk down the street. In other words, you're more flexible and you're more aware. You're more ready to move with the movement of the ship. You're looser. You're ready. You're more aware of what's going on. And that's the way we want you to be as you're moving through the various things that happen in your day. We don't want you to be manic about being aware that it's another 17 seconds and another 17 seconds. We just want you to be aware that in every 17 seconds, you have the potential of establishing a grid that you might like better even than the one you've got going.
Well, I've been having wonderful cooperating relationships and wonderful experiences. I feel like I'm on, I love this pathway. And then I take a little detour. I don't like that, and I just board it up. I'm not even going to think that thought, and I get back on the main path.
It's about focus, isn't it?
Yes.
It's about focus. But here's the thing. It's about thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling. And before you know it, you're feeling and thinking and feeling and thinking. And then before you know it, you're like our friend was describing. You got a grid going on that's filling in. And as it's filling in, you're observing it, which is causing a more substantial grid which fills in. And that's sort of the momentum that you're looking for.
Yes.
But we want you to understand that no matter what kind of momentum you've got going on, if it's pleasing, keep it going. If a good grid is going, then the more specific you are, the better it will feel to a point. Eventually, you'll get more specific than you're able to maintain, and you will feel a sort of glitch in it, and then it's time to go general. So if you're really looking for a pattern or a process, the rule of thumb is be as specific as you can be on any topic that feels good, and any topic that begins to not feel good, then get general. Okay. And the best way to get general is by using emotional terms. So one of the things that we've been enjoying recently is bringing the subject of processes that we've been utilizing before and bringing them into this new grid format. So today we talked about the vortex and how the vortex, which is something that we are still talking about, the vortex is something where everything that you want is, and that when you achieve vibrational alignment with what's in the vortex, then the vortex fills in your grid and manifestations occur. Now before that we said when you get into the vortex, the things that you want will occur. So it's the same sort of thing, because attraction is always about rendezvousing, you moving to it and it moving to you, yes?
Yes.
So now, relative to the emotional scale. The emotional scale, we've talked about it, how it goes from the depths of despair all the way to pure positive energy, and something of everything in between. And most people have some semblance of a grid established and therefore potentially active everywhere along that emotional scale.
Yes.
In other words, on different subjects, at different times of your life, because of different things that occurred, you established those emotional grids. And as you wanted to say when you first sat down, since every thought that you've ever thought still exists, then does every grid that you've ever ground still exist? Does every grid that has ever been established still exist? And we say, it does, but you have to factor in that in this powerful now, where you're doing all of your rendezvousing, those past life grids, even if it was the past life of yesterday, can only surface and become part of your now attraction if you are in the vibrational vicinity of them. Okay. And so you could have a grid about your mother's love, that whenever you see any mother loving any child, it activates that grid within you and serves you. You could have a grid about watching someone who you didn't even know very well rise to fame and fortune, and you could feel appreciation for their success. And that's a grid that would serve you relative to the things that are important to you. In other words, there is so much potential within the grids that you've already established to sort of pick them up where you last left them and move them to another place. And that is, in fact, what commonly happens. It's almost never the case, unless something really startling occurs, something that has a lot of emotional dynamics, that you jump too far in the grids. And what we mean by that is, it's most likely that you're going to pick up a grid where you last left it and then deliberately move it to another place.
Yes. You answered my question that I didn't really finish asking. Thank you.
Well, it was in your grid. It was in your grid. In other words, you've been pondering it. You've been moving around. You established the vibrational pattern of it. And so as we're visiting, and it took a little while for us to get around to it, but did you all receive the benefit of it as well? So they were all in on it too. In other words, there's a convergence here. Lots of people around the world watching. There were lots of ahas that just happened there. So now, what am I going to do with that? So here I am. I know that I've established grids. Some of them are going to serve me. Some of them are not going to serve me. How can I make sure that I activate the grids that serve me best? By going as general as you can, and by speaking emotional words and focusing upon the feeling of the emotional word as you find it.